Hello everybody, welcome back to the stream. Good to see you all again. So yeah, Alchemortis is available for wishlisting. Go ahead on over to the Steam page if you're interested. It's a dark fantasy roguelite auto battler where you use alchemy to create your own synergies. You can also support the game on Patreon if you go to the Patreon page and you subscribe at this top tier for at least 1 month. I will send you an Alchemortis Steam key when the game launches, and your name will be listed in the in-game Alchemortis credits. So definitely check that out if you're interested, and you can also purchase my Udemy courses. The links for those are below, and those help me out a lot as well. So definitely check out those things in the description below. Any and all support helps me out. Even if you just like the video, subscribe to the channel, all that good stuff. Sorry, 1 second. Here we go. All right. So what are we going to be doing today? I'm in the process of reworking my map. So the way that the map worked previously was not really working that well from a gameplay perspective. So we're going to change it. So what I've done, I started working on this last night, is I have split so the map is still split into 3 regions, but they're organized more radially now. So there's like a circle where each region kind of occupies a certain segment of the circle, and then the start is in the middle now, and you can go into any of the regions right from the start. So this is like the mountain region down here. This is like the normal starting region over here, and then this is like the second region here. So you can go to any region from the start. Now, there's a couple of problems here. One, there's no bridges between the regions, so they're like very nice and isolated. That is going to change. I'll add like connections here and there to the regions. I may actually introduce like a bridge node that's just a way of communicating that you're entering a new region. But another thing that I'm doing as well is the checkpoints are now strongholds. I mean, they still say checkpoint, but there's going to be a stronghold placed in every region. And the stronghold is going to be where the boss is located. But, well, I should back up. The boss, oh my gosh, there's going to be so much to change here. The boss is going to be patrolling around every region, and you will trigger the boss fight if you land on a node that's within the boss's like radius of influence, basically. Or you can fight the boss at the stronghold, which will give you some different bonuses. So I'm thinking there will probably be one benefit to fighting the boss out in the field, and there will be another benefit to fighting the boss at the stronghold. Something like that. But anyway, that's kind of what's in progress right now. And obviously the only part that I really have done is just segmenting the map into these different regions. Now the one problem is that I'm going to need to handle upgrading the nodes dynamically now. So the idea now is that when you hit 100 notoriety, instead of that triggering a boss fight immediately, it's just going to increase the strength of the map. And in strength of the combat encounters and so on and so forth. And the goal will be to defeat all 3 bosses before the map just gets too difficult, before the map scaling gets out of control. So I still haven't figured out exactly what those kinds of pressures are going to look like, but you know, I may just start adding like global negative abilities and whatnot. But anyway, that's what we got going on. Let's say hello to everyone. Hello, Edo Makes Games. Welcome back. Forgot to say that Alchemortis has amazing music. Well, thank you. I will pass that along to my musician friend who made the music. Hello, Ninja Link. Good morning. Terra the Blade. Welcome. Wow, that's a big map. Yeah. The map is 300 nodes total, which is actually the same as the map size in the playtest. So you're only really going to ever visit a fraction of these nodes during a run, I would say. But I may also end up shrinking the map. I don't know. We'll see. Hello, Jahar. Welcome, welcome. I like the difficulty scaling idea, then it's starting the boss fight immediately. Yeah, I think it should be good. And good morning to you as well, Jeremy. Yeah, I think this will be good. So yeah, so we're going to be upgrading the world tier or the map tier when notoriety hits 100. So there's a bunch of things that I need to do here. One thing to do is start creating at least some edges between the regions so that we don't have this like nice clean break here. Eventually I was thinking I might want to do maybe like some rivers going through here, just to divide the regions more appropriately. And obviously I've stripped out like the map decorations and stuff because that code all needs to be rewritten to support the new region kind of style here, but all right, let's start by bridging those gaps between the regions here. Alrighty, so let's go to run map generator. Alrighty, so we've got all map edges. Extra edges. I don't think this is necessary anymore. Get rid of that. So basically we want to connect, so this loop here, this is connecting all the nodes within a notoriety region to each other. And then I'm connecting the start node to all the different regions. So I just need to get some edges that go to, so let's find the map edges that bridge disparate regions. So var bridge edges is equal to all map edges dot where x dot node a dot notoriety region is not equal to x dot node b dot notoriety region. Okay, and we can do this to list. Okay, so we're going to need to add a couple of these. We want to probably make sure that there's at least a couple of edges going to each region that's reachable. Let me think. Are the nodes procedurally generated? Well, that answers it. Yeah, the map is procedurally generated for sure. Good morning to you, Nathan. Yeah, so the map is procedurally generated, and it's not terribly complex. It's just a bunch of rules about how to place the nodes and whatnot. But how do I make sure that there's at least a couple of edges? I can't just select random edges here. Are these hash sets? Yeah, okay. Okay. Maybe I just do this on a per region basis. Okay, let's do for int I equals 0. I is less than notoriety regions, I plus plus. Let's do bridge edges is equal to all map edges where x dot node a dot notoriety region is equal to I or is equal to I, and they're not equal. Okay, and then I want to group these by... Gosh. Let's do group by... If node and node A notoriety region equals I, then group by node notoriety region B. Okay, all right. Okay, for each var group in bridge edge group, edge equals group dot order by rand f dot take. What is going on? What in the heck? Dot take. Let's do RNG. Do I have the RNG? RNG.rand I range. Let's do 2 to 4 to list. Let's do edges. Bar edge and edges. Add shortcut edge. Okay. So basically what this is going to do is this is going to go through all the notoriety regions. It's going to find all of the edges in the map where we have a connection to the current notoriety region we're looking at. And the other connection, the connection on the other side is not equal to the notoriety region. So that's an edge that's going to a different notoriety region. And then what we do is we group those by the region that is not equal to the one that we're on here. So if we're in region 0, then this group would have groups of 1 and 2. And then for each of those groups, we just order those edges randomly, take a random number 2 to 4, and then we add that back into the map. So hopefully what that should do is that should create 2 to 4 bridges from each region to each other neighboring region. I hope that works anyway. Let's see. So yeah, so check this out. So we've got these 2 nodes are connected and they're in different regions. And then we've got these 2 nodes are connected and they're in different regions. These 2 nodes are connected and they're in different regions. And then we've got some up here too. So that's our 4 connections. So that's 1, 2, 3. Oh wait, does this one not count? Maybe this one is part. Oh wait. 1, 2, 3. We've got 3 edges. 3 edges going to that region, and then we should see something similar over here. So we've got is this 1, 2? I don't really know how to count these. I think the roads are a little bit weird, but the moral of the story is we've got these regions being connected now to each other. And if I go down here, there's connected over here. So I think what I'd want to do eventually in the future is make these region boundaries a little bit more explicit. But the important thing is that they're all connected now. So that means that if I'm over here somewhere, I can just transition into this region over here. So we'll work on the clarity of that in the future. But we are all connected up now. We are all connected up now. I still got to get rid of these leaf nodes. I don't like that. Hello, Dan Gurup. Nice to see you here about your Udemy course, and they taught me a lot. I'm on a mission to transition from back-end development to game development. Awesome. Glad to hear that. Thanks for taking the course. How do you even learn to script like this? A decade and a half of experience. That's how you learn. I don't mean to be flippant, but that's actually true. Like if you're gonna do game development, I think my personal opinion is that you need to be thinking on like a decade-long scale. Like you shouldn't expect to become that good at game development for at least a decade. Now I know that sounds like a lot, and maybe your experience will probably vary too, but it took me a long time to get to the point where I could make games like Alchemortis, and even still there are a lot of things that I struggle with. But that could be a me problem too. Bubblegum Lord, hello. Diginanigans, hello, welcome back. Hello, Mr. Pacanful. Welcome. How did you create this map generator so it looks like a graph? Where did you get the inspiration to code this? So, I mean, it's obviously very like Slay the Spire inspired, but I also was borrowing from like Path of Exile 2's endgame map system, where you can just kind of like choose where you go. And this was also inspired by the Bazaar. So it's like a mix of all those things. In the Bazaar, the thing that was interesting about the Bazaar is that you go through multiple non-combat events before you end up in each combat. So you can go through like 2 or 3 upgrade events before you actually get to a combat event. And I was like, ooh, that's really cool. But I also liked the way that you could choose your own path and slay the Spire. So I decided to just make this overworld map with, you've got strings of non-combat events with combats sprinkled in here. And you can basically just choose your own route through that, and that's how you gain power. As far as like how it's actually implemented, it's just, you just generate a bunch of points that are far enough away from each other inside of a bounding box. And then you can use Delaunay triangulation to connect them all together with edges. And then you can just do a series of operations to like prune the edges that you don't want. So the Delaunay triangulation just makes sure that every node is connected to its neighbors without any edges intersecting, so there are no edges crossing each other. And then you can just apply your own logic to decide which edges to keep. One step in this generation is I create a minimum spanning tree that goes through each region. And what the minimum spanning tree does is it's the minimum tree of edges that is required to connect every node to each other. So that makes sure that every node is visitable, and then I can just go in and add edges back in from the Delaunay triangulation to create like multiple pathways to the node. So it's just layering and upon layering of different approaches to get this result. But it's relatively straightforward. Like there's nothing super complicated about it. Hello, Arn Genesis, welcome. Good to see you again. I'm a senior developer and I thought about looking for a junior position as a game dev, but it looks like Godot is not there yet for companies. I tried Udemy and really didn't like it. I'm running Linux, which limits things a little bit. Oh, I see. I can almost smell the triangulation, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Part of the fun of game development is being able to do your own thing, so obviously everyone's different, but personally I have no interest in working for like a games company. When I was employed as a software engineer, I basically just did game development in the evenings and on weekends, and I just kept my software engineer salary. Okay. I'm trying to figure out what the next thing to do is. So let's change how the notoriety works. So I've actually already implemented a way of upgrading nodes here. So if I go to my run map generator, what you actually see here is run manager. I actually have these 2 timers here, and after 5 seconds, this I call upgrading counters on the seeded run, and I call it again. So that was just me testing the upgrading of things. This is probably going to be a problem because regenerating the enemy boards actually takes quite a bit of time. I mean, it's only like 1 millisecond per, but the problem is that that's not going to be good if I do that during gameplay. So I'm going to have to think of something to do that. But so you can see that this is a tier 1 with a bishop, and then after it regenerates, this is tier 2 now, and it's got a totally different layout. And then if the next generation happens, this is tier 3 now with a different layout. But this is all seeded, which means that, if you are playing on the same seed as a player, this will always end up being this configuration when it gets upgraded. So I'm preserving the determinism of the upgrades here. So yeah, that's what's happening. I'm not upgrading any of the other node types just yet, though. I need to figure out how that's going to work. So like the boosters are not being upgraded and so on and so forth. So I may need to do this over several frames. Like what I may do is I may just, like in physics process or something, I could queue up all the nodes that need to be upgraded, but do the ones that are immediately visible by the player first. So that way, it's not trying to update the combat configurations of like 120 combat nodes at once. It's only going to do, 2 or 3 at most in one frame, and then it will just, over time, fill out. So that should work, but, I may also end up I was experimenting with threading last night to see if I could parallelize some of the map operations, and I think it's possible to do that. So I may end up just having a thread that lives on the seeded run and just like have certain operations happen on the thread instead. But we'll have to see. Dark Souls 2 is not a bad game. Whatever you say. Hello, Emerson. Welcome back. Solo game developer seems to be the way for me. I have to do it as a side project until I have a reliable income from games. Yeah, I think that's the smart thing to do. Yeah, you will get there. Are you using C# and Godot? I am. Welcome, Alberto. Welcome, welcome. I am using C#. Okay, so the next thing to do is probably to get this what you call it, node upgrading working. Let me just do this. Commit that. Get rid of this. Okay, let's take a look. I'm gonna have to just strip out a bunch of notoriety stuff. Spread Inquisition. This is gonna go away, I think. Notoriety penalty pause duration. So this is gonna go away. This is gonna go away. Region to floating eyes spawned. Region to Inquisition eyes count. That's going away. Region to floating eyes spawned. I think I'm going to get rid of the floating eyes as well. Spread Inquisition, yeah. We're going to get rid of this. Notoriety region boss defeated. We may keep that. But we're going to yeet this out of here. We're going to yeet this out of here. We're going to yeet this out of here. We're going to yeet that out of there. Get rid of this. I'm not sure if I need this here. So I'm doing this on a different branch, so if I ever need to get some code back, I can just look for it. Of course, also I'm doing commits, so that'll work, but let's take a look. Begin Inquisition spread, get rid of this. Current notoriety region, this is going to be a problem as well. Is this used anywhere? That's going to have to go away as well. Yeah, to do... We're just going to get rid of this for now. We're going to get rid of the current notoriety region from here. We're going to get rid of it from here. I hope that doesn't break too much. We'll get rid of this. Get boss combat configuration for region. So there's a lot of structural stuff changing here. If is in boss fight, notoriety. Okay, we're gonna have to deal with the boss stuff separately, I think. We're gonna get rid of this. We're gonna get rid of this. Mid-signal boss defeated. Oh boy. Just stripping everything down. This whole victory thing. Alrighty. We're going to get rid of this notoriety penalty paused as well. So we'll go to the run manager. Notoriety penalty paused, resumed, get rid of this. Map container. We no longer need this register run manager. So let's get rid of this. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. I'm just trying to clean up as much as possible, so I don't need to worry about it. This notoriety pause label, go away. Notoriety penalty label. Wait. Yeah, we're going to get rid of this. Well, yeah, we'll just get rid of that, I guess. This checkpoint is vacant. Get rid of that. Show checkpoint label. Okay. All right, let me just make sure this runs. Did you remove the fog of war? Yeah, for testing purposes. Yeah, the fog of war is not going away. But just so I could see the map. Just so that I can see the map, I've disabled it in the debug settings. Hello, MRX, Radx. Because of so many years of your experience in game dev field, I have a question. How old are you? And the second one, do you use AI in the development except the tab? And what AI specifically? I'm 31 years old, and I've been doing game development since I was like 14. And do I use AI in development? Yeah, I use Copilot, which I'm assuming is what you mean by the tab. But I also have been using like Claude Opus 4.6, specifically when there's bugs in my code and I don't feel like spending the brain power finding it. I find that the LLMs are really good at just like examining the file and finding, you know, off by one errors or whatever. I mean, just last night I was working on the map and it wasn't working. I was like, there's a bug here where this is happening. Examined my code and it was like, oh, you have an off by one error here. Here you go, I fixed it. And I was like, oh. So instead of, you know, taking the 15 minutes or whatever that it would have taken me to realize that, I got it done in like 15 seconds. So I definitely use the AI in certain places, especially like also optimization, helping me optimize the code, just doing things in a more efficient way in certain situations. So yeah, definitely using those tools on occasion anyway. But the overwhelming majority of the code in the code base was handwritten by me as well. Okay, all right, so we strip out all that stuff. We remove that. Nice use of AI without taking control from you. Thanks for the answer. Yeah, for sure. Hello, Defected. Welcome back. Good to see you. Okay, so now let's figure out what we do with the notoriety penalty. Victory notice scene that's not used anymore. I'm going to change this to notoriety level. Just rename all these things. Wanted level changed. This should change into... Okay. There's just a bunch of stuff that just needs to change here. Okay, notoriety level increase. These are going to need to change. Actually, maybe that's fine. Maybe that's fine to do... State machine change state boss. So we're not going to do that here. Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do... Let's just create a new state for this. State machine.add state map upgrade or something. Let's create that state in here. Private void state map upgrade. Let's do async await get tree await to signal get tree dot create timer. Okay, then we're going to do seeded run dot upgrade encounters and then await this again. Just creating a little delay. State machine dot change state map, I guess. We're gonna have to figure that out. But anyway, so instead of changing into state boss here, we're gonna do state map upgrade. Oh, we're also going to want to change the notoriety level in here. Notoriety level is equal to 0. Emit signal notoriety level cleared. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. This is obviously going to be very, very sloppy. It's going to have to require some tweaks here, but that's okay. All right, let's just see if that much works. What are you taking control by AI? Oh, nothing. I think what Miss MRX Radx was saying is the AI is not doing everything for me. So I've missed the stream since the playtest. What are we doing to the map? So the map is being completely rebuilt, basically. Not from a technical standpoint, but from like a game design standpoint. So all regions are going to be accessible now. There's going to be wandering bosses. There's going to be strongholds, and the map is generally going to get harder whenever your notoriety level goes up every 100 units. So instead of getting thrown into a boss fight immediately when your wanted level goes up or when your notoriety level goes up, it's going to go up when you hit 100. So the difficulty of everything. On notoriety level cleared. Okay, and then... So we're basically just rebuilding how the map works. Yeah, Yeah, wandering bosses. So basically in every region, the boss is going to patrol around and it's going to basically deny you access to certain nodes. So the idea is that there will be a radius around the boss as they're traveling. Any node within that radius, you can still visit it, but it's going to trigger the boss fight if you visit that node. So you could choose to fight the boss out in the field. I'm sure we're going to come up with some kind of like benefit to doing that or some downside to doing that. But then there will be the stronghold, which is the node on the map where you can trigger the boss fight for that region, regardless of where the boss patrol is. And hitting a stronghold is also going to have certain benefits. So, for example, you know, clearing the stronghold may reduce your notoriety level by like 30 or 40 or 50 or whatever. So it's a way of controlling the notoriety level. Maybe it will also give you some like passive buffs or something. But we'll see. This is all stuff that has to be figured out. And these are all systems that have to be built. So we're just going to try to go one baby step at a time here. Okay, so I'm going to try something now. So I'm going to change my debug notoriety level here to 99. And as soon as I visit a node and go above that 100, we should see everything upgrade if it didn't break. Okay. So I'm at 99 out of 100. So let's just make sure that this combat goes up. So let's see. Okay. So everything has been reset. Oh, that notoriety level. That's a bug, but that's all right. We'll fix that later. So now these combats have been upgraded. I may actually want to upgrade them several tiers. Let me think. That's all right. We'll figure out the balancing later. Okay, so all those combat nodes have been upgraded now. So that works great. Okay. Oh, we got some errors. Attempted to remove input lock when none were present. Oh. I think there's an easy way to fix that. Well, this is going to be a little bit messy, but we could just do game map. Map container disable input. Just try to stay on top of these bugs for now so I don't have a whole mess to disentangle as we build this out. Okay. That seems to work fine. So we've got the map being upgraded now and we hit that 100 level. So that's good. Probably going to change the notoriety progress bar as well, but so we're just going to get the broad strokes of everything that I want to get done, which is basically anything that's outlined here in my to-do list, or my progress list rather. So upgrade nodes every time 100 notoriety is hit. Add patrolling bosses, make strongholds trigger the boss fight. Add edge connections between regions is done. Some kind of negative condition, whatever notoriety 100 is hit. So yeah, we'll probably want to... yeah, there's a lot to do. But anyway... let's get the strongholds working, I suppose. So I'm actually going to rename this checkpoint. I'm going to rename this to stronghold. Let's remove this for now. I'm just going to go through anywhere where I have strongholds, and I'm just going to remove this because that all logic was applying to something else. My tutorial is completely broken again, so... okay, yeah, we don't want to change the strongholds here. Visited cleared checkpoint. We don't need this anymore. Current run map node at node event type equals event type dot stronghold. Change state boss. Okay. That's not necessary. I don't think this is necessary at all anymore, actually. So we'll get rid of that. The floating eye manager, floating eyes have basically gone away. Is vacant, vacant checkpoint nodes, contains... actually, I may want to... because if I fight the boss out in the field... we're going to have to do that. Well, I'm just going to get rid of this for now. Okay. And just try to keep everything as straight in my head as possible. Let's give this a score as well. Okay. So let's get the boss fight triggering from the stronghold. You could use the notoriety as a kind of score. I don't know if you plan on capping it, but if it were infinite, we could compete. Or what the end of the game is, if there is one. So the idea is that you'll still... so basically what the notoriety level is going to become now is it's going to become pressure. So instead of just forcing you into a boss fight, the map is just going to keep getting harder and harder. And so you're going to have to make a balancing choice between, do I go after bosses or can I tolerate the increased map difficulty as the notoriety level increases? And so that's the idea. And the goal is basically to defeat all the bosses before the map gets too strong. So yeah, I'm not sure how exactly that's going to work. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of like tweaking and playtesting that needs to be done on this. system, but we'll figure it out. Anyway, now I gotta figure out how to generate the boss configuration. Let's see. So generate boss encounters. Huh? What is this? Oh, it's selecting the most difficult combat encounter. So additional boss score. This is going to have to change as well. We're not going to do this anymore. Base boss score is equal to, let's just do 500. So this is the score that is the difficulty here. Let's do public static get target score for boss configuration. Get target score for boss. I think we just need the int boss tier here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do, let's grab this. Private constant base boss score 500. And then we got the bias score. Okay. All right. Get target score for boss. This will just be 0 for now. Okay, biased score. And then we got the unbiased score here. All right, generate boss configuration. Okay, cool. So while I'm thinking of it, notoriety regions to boss configuration. Okay. So while I'm thinking of it, when we have the seeded run or base seeded run, and we upgrade encounters here, if node.node event type is equal to event type.combat, we'll put all of this stuff in here. Else if node.node event type equals event type.stronghold, then what we're going to do is we're going to do get boss combat configuration for region. Boss config equals null equals true. Boss config increment tier. I actually don't know if I want to do this. Public. Why is this so difficult? Tier. I need the tier in here. Where is this being set? That crocheted Godot was super cute. My GF thought about making one, but the cost of yarn was greater than the cost of buying the official plushie. Oh, interesting. Use emotion to balance your game. But your mom made a smaller one, so that probably is more cost effective. Super awesome that she knows what Godot is. Yeah. Yeah, I thought it was awesome. What's the name of the task app? Obsidian. It's Obsidian with the Kanban plugin. I just realized that this new board design of hunting for strongholds may actually make me want to get the telescope. Yeah, that's another benefit too. I can definitely add like more navigation related artifacts. The problem here is how do I upgrade these boss configurations? Boss combat configuration. I think I need to add something like public bool is boss, and then in here generation args dot is boss. I'm gonna need to change that. Okay. Is boss equals true there. This is kind of a mess because I'm just trying to work with what I've already built, but this may have to be cleaned up. Anyway, so we increment tier generation args equals generation args with maybe I don't set the tier there. Increment the tier difficulty score dot get target score for boss tier. So let's do var new score is equal to this. Var unbiased score bias score. So there's bias score, unbiased score. Okay. Okay. So then in here, we're incrementing the tier, we're regenerating the boss combat configuration. Okay. And then we're not going to set the tier there. All right, well, this is a mess, but that's all right. Okay, so now when I visit the stronghold, it needs to trigger the boss fight. So let's get that working now. Oh, it automatically is changing to the state boss. Okay. Right, so I commented this out. Current node. So I can just use the current node, I think. So let's do this. Well, let's see what happens. So if I go to my project settings, let's turn this off, and let's also give myself the God mode here. So now if I visit a stronghold, I should go into that boss encounter. So there's a stronghold there. We'll just blast through this as quick as possible. Just want to make sure that this logic is working, that's all. Almost there. All right, let's see what happens. Okay, that seems to have worked. Oh, and we have a bug here. Object reference not set to an instance of object. Oh, right. Let me take a look at the file history here. Is in boss fight. Am I still using that? Okay. I think that will work. Let's give it another try. Alrighty, where's the closest stronghold? I guess that one. I wonder if I can get a closer one, though. That should be fine. Now we gotta skip through all this stuff again. You ever demo your game at in-person groups? I have not, no. I have not. The digital playtest is perfectly fine for feedback. Okay, almost there. Okay, so that boss is cleared now. That seems to be working. It did reset my notoriety level though, so I need to not do that, I think. Notoriety level, boom. We may want to change to do maybe reduce the notoriety level or something, or I don't know if that makes sense. Maybe it increases it more, I don't know. We'll have to figure that out. But anyway, that seems to be working. Now, what I do want to try... Base boss score, additional boss score. We'll have to play with those numbers as well. Okay, anyway. So that's working for the most part. Let's also get the roaming boss working. Yeah, we'll have to get the roaming boss working. So that'll be the next big thing to do, I think. So we're going to get all these pieces and parts in place, and then I'll probably do some playtesting on my own to make sure that this is going in the right direction. But... Hello, Evan. Welcome back. Failed to beat the final boss in this playtest. I think I suck at Alchemortis now. I'm sorry to hear that. I'm getting some comments that it's too hard and some comments that it's too easy, so we'll see. Maybe this new map formula will make it better for everyone. I put 5 to 6 hours into the playtest. Extremely fun. One of the best roguelites I've played. Can't wait for full release. Oh, well, thank you, Pigeon Child. I appreciate that. It's very high praise. Yeah, hopefully I don't drop the ball here. Gonna try it. We're redoing the map here to make sure that it's a little bit more interesting. So hopefully I don't make the game less fun with this change, but we'll see. Can always go back to the old style if it's not working. But anyway, I'm going to take a quick 3-minute break, and then when I come back, we will continue on. We're going to add the roaming boss patrols, which should be relatively straightforward. I'm basically going to need to copy this code here. Should I just... If I'm not going to have the floating eyes anymore, I wonder if I should just rework this whole thing. Maybe I'll just transform this into the boss patrol. Okay, maybe we'll do that. The final boss can like one-shot you and you have no idea how to answer it. Yeah, we'll fix it. We'll fix all these things. Anyway, I'll be right back in just 3 minutes and we'll continue on. All right, everyone, I'm back. Thank you for your patience. So this floating eye manager was previously driving all of the floating eye stuff, as you can probably tell. So let me think about this. So we're going to change this. Let's not rename anything right now. Generate floating eye configuration for region. So this is obviously all going to be renamed. I just want to see if I can get this to work. Okay. Okay, so that should actually work. So we've got the floating eye configuration here. That works. So now if I go to my floating eye manager, basically what this can do now is instead of adding this increased notoriety penalty map effect, so instead of this map node effect, let's do a new one. Let's create a new trigger boss fight map node effect. Trigger boss fight map node effect. Under the watch of a boss patrol, triggers this region's boss fight when entered. Something like that. We'll figure that out later, but floating eye manager, this is going to be new. Trigger boss fight map node effect. So now how do I get this to work? Okay, trigger boss fight map node effect. What does this do now? On map entered. I may have to handle this in the run manager actually. Let me see how this is actually moving everything. Update positions is happening on map entered. Okay. So on map enters is coming from run manager. So I think what I want to do is triggered boss fight is equal to current run, or let's do map node effects manager dot has map node effect of type trigger boss map node effect current run map node. I don't really know how I want to handle this. Because I don't want to update the position of the patrolling boss that the player just triggered. So... Well, we don't really need to worry about that just yet. Let's just do this down here. If triggered boss fight, state machine, change state, state boss. Animate map node changes. Okay, there's a lot going on here, but that's okay. Let's just see if this much works. Hello, V, welcome. Probably depends heavily on your build, right? Oh, for the last boss? Yeah. I mean, I do want to make the game less bursty overall, but... Okay, so here's the patrol. Let's see if I can go catch up. Oh gosh. Let's see if we can get a closer one. There we go. Oh, that is not good. That should not be spawning that close to the start, but let's go ahead and try it. So we'll do the obelisk here. We will transform some nodes. So it still moved. And it triggered the boss fight. Okay, good. So we're going to need to remove that patrol when the boss fight gets triggered, because it's not gonna work. Subsequent runs is not gonna work. Or yeah, subsequent triggers is not gonna work. But that did trigger the boss fight, so that's good. I just don't know what to do. We have the boss defeated. Where is that? Did I get rid of that? So boss defeated for region, emit signal, boss defeated for region. Then in our floating eye manager, let's do this. Run manager.connect, boss defeated for region. We don't need this on Inquisition spread anymore. Okay. Notoriety region. Let's make this okay. So in here, clear effects for eye, floating eye. We'll grab that, and we can put clear effects for eye here. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is private void remove floating eye. So we're going to remove the occupied edges. Okay. Floating eye to affected nodes remove. Floating eyes dot remove. Floating eye queue free. I think that's fine. I don't know. We'll see. This is all going to have to be renamed, but let's see if that works. Hello, Budget Jim. Welcome back. Good to see you. Just trying to get a close one here, so I don't have to run so far. Okay, that seems reasonably close. Let's see if we can catch up to this guy. There we go. So I go here. We should see that this eye gets removed now after the boss fight, I think. All right, yeah, that patrol got removed. Awesome. We still got the other patrols up here. Let's see if I can maybe catch up with that one too and just make sure that this is working on subsequent patrol triggers. Goodness gracious, there's a lot of work to do. But it's coming along, we're getting there. Stop running away from me. Stop running away from me. Okay. It's coming back. Now find out what happens when you land on a space that has 2 eyeballs affecting it. That should not be possible. Although I do need to add a condition in here. Node dot notoriety region is equal to floating eye configuration. So I don't want this to reach outside of the current region. Okay, here we go. Just realized I've been watching 7 minutes behind. Uh-oh. Almost there. I'm going to catch up with this guy one way or another. Stop running away! Oh my gosh. I'm going to get you. Here we go. So if I go to this one now, it should trigger this boss fight and remove that as well. And that floating eye has gone away now. That patrol. There's obviously some sequencing issues to go on here, but that's all right. Okay. All right. So that system appears to be working. Obviously, I'm going to want to rename that all to like boss patrol instead of floating eye, but that is functional as a boss patrol now, which is good. I may want to give them a chance not to move as well. Figured if 2 eyes were on the border, it could happen, but that fixes it. Yeah. Yeah, it should be all right. Okay. Use floating eyes as boss patrols. So, what is the next thing to do here? So we have the patrolling bosses. I'm going to change that. I'm going to change the art for that as well. So they're not going to be eyes anymore. They'll be something like a banner or something. Like a waving banner, I think would be cool. But all that is polished stuff that can happen later. This is not disabling the stronghold though. So we're going to need to do that. Oh, I got an error here. Collection was modified. Floating Eye Manager 166. Oops. Okay. That should fix that. All right. Well, I don't know what to do next. I mean, there's a lot to do here. So obviously we're going to need bonuses for defeating the stronghold. Hello, Polaris. Welcome. Good to see you again. Welcome, welcome. Ah, man. What to do next? Allow player to trigger field boss fight, and it needs to disable the stronghold. I guess that would be the next sensible thing to do. Is the eyeball going to be more of an elite fight, or are those actually going to be boss fights? It's the boss fight, so the bosses are going to patrol around. So you could trigger the boss fight by hitting one of those nodes that is under the eyeball, or you could trigger the boss fight by going to the stronghold. So I think this is going to be interesting because obviously you may not want to visit a node that's currently under the watch of the boss. So I think that's going to force players to change their pathfinding. So that was kind of like the intent originally behind the original floating eyes that just increased the notoriety penalty, was to get the player to reconsider the route that they were taking. But now that those are boss patrols that trigger the boss fight, it's a lot more, I think it's a lot more of a decision that you have to make. Like, are you ready to fight the boss now? Or do you want to fight the boss at the stronghold? Or do you need to take a different path and come back to what you're trying to reach? When in doubt, you can always make a new card or artifact. Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. This map stuff, there's still a bunch of work to do with this overhaul. Like, I haven't even started adding like the bonuses and stuff. I was thinking about doing bonuses for each region as well. So like, you know, like it gives you more choice in terms of which region you want to go to. I think for now, what I'll probably do is just increase the prevalence of certain types of nodes. Like, oh, this region contains additional booster nodes or whatever, and this region contains additional combat nodes, or this region contains additional artifact nodes or whatever. So if there's something very specific that you want to go for, you can like choose which region you want to go to. How I'm going to display that information is a big problem though. And then, yeah, then there's the negative and positive buffs that come from defeating the boss at the stronghold. And then, of course, there's the way to communicate to the player that when your notoriety level hits 100, it's going to, you know, cause the map to improve in strength and all that stuff. And I probably want to redo the notoriety bar at the top as well. I think there will be a cap to how strong the map can get. Maybe there will be a cap to how strong the map can get. But anyway, we'll figure that out. So I think I could either transform this into like a standard bar where there's like ticks in the bar, and every time you meet or cross a tick, it will like increase or add some negative effects, as well as increasing the difficulty. But yeah, I just don't know how that's all going to work. Making the player find the stronghold sounded more exciting, honestly. The eyeballs being the in-between of the boss and normal could be a deterrent as well. Well, you can find the stronghold, right? It's like, you're probably not going to want to fight the boss out in the field. And there will be a difference in terms of what benefits you get from fighting the boss versus finding the stronghold. And like, it may even be the case that fighting the boss out in the field just gives you no particular benefit. So it's a way of just like getting the boss out of the way if you want to get the boss out of the way, versus the stronghold, which will give you something additional, I think. The game's map is super cool. Graph. Yeah. Thank you. The other thing is the stronghold is like generally in the center of every region right now, but I could definitely hide it more. Maybe a notoriety tier, so as you hit 100, you get a new tier of notoriety. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm going for. Like, every time you cross the 100 threshold, something will happen to the map. Like, not only will all the nodes get upgraded, but there will be like additional negative effects that affect the whole map. Could correlate with the player's level or something. Yeah, this is there's gonna be a lot to tweak here for sure. Just trying to get all this stuff working properly. It's gonna be actually quite a while before I can get to a point where I can actually play test it. I mean, I guess I could kind of do that right now. But I don't have like a victory condition in place either, so I should make a note of that. And then of course I have to put the map decorations back, so I have to redo all that. Well, probably not redo all of that code, but that's going to be a pretty significant update as well. But anyway, let's go ahead and just do... So we can see what this looks like without the debug fog reveal radius. And it didn't work. Probably because I have disable fog of war on as well. So the patrols will still reveal nodes for you. New map, who dis? Hello, 4-star Yelp review, welcome. So let's just run around here, I suppose. Is this always adding 3? Hold on. I think it's always adding 3. Oops. I need to fix the notoriety penalty. Nope, that added 9. So here, I've got the boss patrol here, so I was going to go here, but that triggers the boss fight, and I'm not ready for it, so I'm going to go this way instead. And then just kind of feel out what it's like to go out and try to find the stronghold. So I still haven't found the stronghold. Let's just go this way, I suppose. Still no stronghold. It's probably down this way. Maybe allow more empty nodes so that events are fewer, more meaningful, and gives a region its identity, like mountain region has more upgrades, or swamp has more poison and alchemical. Yeah, but I think I want that to be dynamic. Like, I don't necessarily want every region to have, like, the same benefits every run. The regions still have their own, like, cards, enemy cards, though. Like, the bishop can only appear in this region. So that's a differentiating factor. It's not enough of a differentiating factor. As notoriety increases, the once empty nodes are now combat nodes. Yeah, I could do something like that. I don't know. It's something that has to be play tested quite a bit, I think. Oh, there's the stronghold. Is the map currently procedural? Yes. The beginning song sounds like KH. I don't know what KH is. Welcome, Chris. Hello, Sacrificial. Welcome back. So I go to the stronghold here. Oh, Kingdom Hearts. Gotcha. All right, so there's a lot of tweaking and stuff that needs to be done here. Obviously, I'm not finished with it. It's just all kinds of stuff. Oh my gosh, it's so much work. It's so much work. Oh, it's so much work. Anyway. Username checks out. Just arrived, but why reorganize the regions? I thought that in the demo, the progression of difficulty was a good proxy for the progress of a run. So yeah, there were a couple of problems with the map the way it was previously. One, it wasn't obvious that you have to go northward. Number two, the map was set up to be to make it seem like it's explorable, but the regions become basically unexplorable after you beat a boss. You're basically just like rushed into the next region. So it kind of defeats the purpose of having like a big map. There wasn't much opportunity to like go back to other regions and grab stuff. So that was one problem. And then, yeah, there was like, there was no interesting decision making with respect to like which region you go into. Your path decisions were basically just like, which upgrade do I want to get next? Then you just keep moving northward. It just felt kind of weird overall. And so I'm changing it now so that, number one, you can explore things more, that regions won't just become locked off to you after you beat the boss. But now there's going to be a penalty for delaying. There's going to be a penalty for spending a lot of time in the map, which is that these negative conditions are going to accrue for every 100 notoriety you hit. And the map is going to upgrade. So trying to make the map more explorable, making it more feasible to go into older regions if you want to go back and grab something. And also giving players more choice about which region they want to go into in terms of like, do they want... Because each region now is going to have some buffs to start. Like certain regions may have more event types or like guaranteed cards and booster packs or whatever. So anyway, it's just an attempt to solve a bunch of the problems that existed on the current map. Current music sounds very Witcher. Reminded me of FTL, you were running away from a tide of enemies chasing you. Yeah, I mean, and that's an option too. Like, one option is just to more explicitly force the player northward in the old map design. But we'll see. More powerful decks. Yeah, you have more opportunities to upgrade your deck as well. More opportunities to chase your build. Negative reinforcement for staying too long versus positive reinforcement for exploring. Another question is going to be, how do you rein in the cloak? The thing is going to be so good in this version of the board. Yeah, that's a good question. I could just make it so that it reduces the notoriety penalty of visited nodes by 1. And so you could stack the cloak. So the cloak will be reasonably strong if you just get 1, but then you could get multiple cloaks and like drive it down to 0. Hello, Clickertail. Maybe an act system like Mugenics, you spend time in one map or region, and when your act ends, you go to a new map and region. That way players spend time in an area. Yeah, I mean, that was an option too, but I still like the interconnected map with regions that you can hop in and out of. So I'm trying to preserve that if I can, but it's possible that this map overhaul is not going to work that well, and we'll have to take a different approach. Certainly not the simplest thing I can do. The cloak is very OP, but made me really dread how long the walking animation is. Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of stuff to do with the map here. It's just hard to figure out what exactly needs to be done here. I guess it's possible we could go back to the other map design and just force the player northward more explicitly. I think there's basically two approaches, right? Like, the old map was like a weird mix of free exploration with pressure to move northward. And I think the way the map has to go is it has to go one of two ways. It has to be more like Slay the Spire, where it's basically just forcing you northward. either through the structure of the map or by blocking off certain nodes to you so you can't backtrack. So that's one approach, is just be more explicit that we're forcing the player northward, right? And then the other approach is to lean into the exploration side of things, and just make some penalties accrue if you spend too long doing so. And so that's the approach that I'm taking right now, is like, okay, well, I want to preserve the exploration. I want to give the player free roam of the map, but with this additional pressure of like, you can't just visit like every node at your heart's content and just get super powerful and beat the game. Like there has to be this tension between like grabbing your upgrades, but also not making the map scale so much that it becomes really difficult. So you're kind of like on your own timer, like you're making your own judgment, like, can I tolerate the increased map difficulty given my build, or do I just want to take what I have and like clear the bosses quickly here? You know what I mean? It's a lot of content to make for the regions. Yeah. But I do like the map change idea. It gives more meaning and personality compared to the lane systems and others. Yeah, I mean, that could work too. So you give player free roam of one region and then they just get inserted into the next region. Yeah. I don't know, like, I think this is going to be an iterative process. If this new approach doesn't work out well, then there are other approaches to try as well, but I'm hoping this will work. We just gotta really just figure out like this map stuff, make this really engaging to interact with, and then this is like one of the last major things that needs to be nailed down for the game, I think. Hello, Kinyaz. Did something change? The Kanban looks crispier. I added a Dracula theme to my Obsidian, so I think that's the only thing that changed. I appreciate the map getting more difficulty because in the playtest, once I got 1 to 2 cards for that run build, I could freely walk the entire map without any real threat because anything died easily. Yeah, that's another problem that I'm trying to resolve too. So we'll see. I mean, I have a feeling that this is going to work with some tweaks. What I like about this approach is that it gives me a lot of different ways to tweak how the map works by adding more buffs to regions or adding certain like negatives to regions. Increasing the overall difficulty of the map, not just in terms of like how difficult the combats are, but also like negative effects on nodes. So for example, if you hit like Notoriety 100, all the map nodes will upgrade, but then I could say something like, you know, you start every combat with like 90% health or something like that, right? And I could just stack these negatives. So as you increase notoriety, there's this pile of negative effects that are going to affect you for the remainder of the run. And so so instead of just making the enemies like bullet sponges with extremely powerful cards, it's more like you're just going to get all of these negatives piled onto you. And maybe you have a build that's good enough to just like fight through that. But I don't know, we'll see. Yeah, you missed the playtest? Yeah, sorry. Sorry about that, Kinyaz, but there will be another one. Anyway, I don't really feel like working on the map right now some more. So let's go ahead and make one of Jackie Daytona's suggested artifacts. I'm going to switch back over. We are going to do chipped whetstone here. So this is a suggestion from Jackie Daytona. Increase weapon turn cooldown by 1 and increase weapon crit chance by 10%. So we're going to do that. And we'll probably just add that and call that good. I'm going to try to do this in a way where I can cut this stream and make it into a short. So if it sounds like I'm doing something weird like the way I'm talking about it, just know that I'm going to do this with the intent of cutting this into a short that I can upload on YouTube. Have I considered a sandbox mode? I have not, but I think it would be pretty easy to add that. Just let players go in and like disable the notoriety penalties or whatever and just let them get whatever cards they want and so on and so forth. That should be relatively easy, but we do have to keep the scope in check. I'm getting to the point now where I really need to like nail down these systems and get them solidified so that I can just build out the content and the polish and all that stuff so that the game can be released. Max difficulty for the bosses, but no timer, so you can build your perfect build over time. Yeah, something like that could work for sure. I mean, I could see the game having like a custom rule set as well. Like if you just want to go to sandbox mode, you can have a bunch of options like here's the board size that you want to start with, and here are the artifacts you want to start with, and here's the cards you want to start with, and like here's the overall difficulty, so on and so forth. But that would probably be something that I add after the initial release of the game, depending. But yeah, we'll see. Oh, we'll see. Oh, there's so much to do. Oh, there's so much to do. The only way out is through. So we're gonna have to do that. But I am gonna be taking breaks from this map overhaul to do fun stuff. Okay, anyway, we're gonna do this chipped whetstone, but I'm gonna take a quick 3-minute break, and then when I come back, we'll implement this. And we may implement the other one that Jackie Daytona suggested as well. But yeah, we'll focus on this one for now. Okay, I'll be right back in just 3 minutes and we'll continue on. Okay, all right, let's do this whetstone. Artifacts. Whetstone. Okay. Let's see what we got going on here. Do I just make it look like a... Just make it look like a big, long... box? Maybe something like that. Maybe we'll just shrink this up a little bit though. Yeah, something like that could work, I'm sure. Might change these colors a little bit here. Yeah, something like that. And then it's supposed to be chipped. There we go. Who knows? Who knows if this is going to work? Anyway. Okay. Well, we'll figure it out. I might... Can I just, like, shrink this up a little bit? Oh, that didn't work. Actually, it's fine. Just joined. What changes to the map have been done? So yeah, I'm doing a whole change. So the big change is that all regions are visitable from the start. There are now strongholds in each region. That's where the boss is located. There are also boss patrols that will block your access to nodes unless you want to fight the patrol. And then the idea is that when your notoriety level goes past 100, there will be additional negative map conditions added, as well as everything's difficulty will increase. So the idea is that we're giving players more free roam over the map, but also adding some more explicit pressure to prevent the player from spending too long in the map, if that makes sense. So that's what's been done so far, but you know, we'll have to see. We'll have to see if it works out. I'm kind of tempted to do something simpler, but yeah, I just want to see how it works, I guess. Seems you changed the ambient noises as well. The background sounds are different. Oh no, the new music is just for the stream. There are new music tracks in the version of the playtest that you didn't get to play, but those tracks are not, the tracks that you hear now are not being used in the game. Okay. I feel like this needs to be still shrunken a little bit. There we go. I think that looks more reasonable. Do we want to add... I think it looks decent. Maybe not. Well, I think it's okay. I mean, I think it reads as a whetstone well enough. I guess it's fine. I guess it's fine. I don't have any complaints. Okay. Not the best art in the world, but it'll do. I googled what Brimstone was, found a JS library. I think I found a gem. The API looks really nice. Interesting. What is Brimstone? What is it a library for? Okay. Now the fun part is we can create a new resource, the artifact resource now. Save, whetstone, cracked whetstone. Is that what it was called? Let's see. Chipped whetstone. Okay. Copy this, paste this here. I don't know why I can't make unique there. Anyway, edit region, grid snap, 24. There's our whetstone. Okay. All allied weapon cards. What was it? It increases weapon turn cooldown by 1 and increases crit chance by 10%. One increased turn cooldown. Additional critical chance. Hold on. Weapon cards have turn cooldown increased by 1 and 10% additional critical chance. Okay, that should be fine. What is the software using for the to-do list? Obsidian with the Kanban community plugin. It's one of those reactive state libraries. I don't do a lot of web, but when I do, I use React CND without Babel and hate it. Brimstone may be good. Interesting. Okay. Gotta love those JavaScript reactive libraries. All right, so let's actually do the whetstone ability now. I'm just gonna copy the poison, no, not the poison heal. What is it called? Alchemical heal. Copy this, create new file, whetstone. Okay, let's call this cooldown increase, private composed ability, critical chance increase. I'm going to standardize this. Color orange for that and color orange for this. Okay, create abilities. Cooldown increase is equal to new composed ability. New self turn cooldown modification. Base value is 1. Return ability builder dot ability configuration. New. So this is going to be abilities equals self. Actually, let's just call it turn cooldown. Scaling func. Tier. Description func. Turn cooldown increased by 1. can echo equals false. Actually, do I want to make this? I think I want to make this is hidden equals true. So I actually don't need a description here. Okay, so that's the cooldown increase, and then this is going to be critical chance increase, self critical chance modification, base value is 10. Rename that to critical chance, can echo false, is hidden true. Okay, so cooldown increase, critical chance increase. Okay. Now, inside of get base composed ability, if base card get tags has flag weapon, let's simplify this. Okay. Let's try it out. So we do have the whip here. Test player artifacts, let's do whetstone. So what is the whip's default turn cooldown? 11. It also has a default crit chance of 2. So we should see, or 20 rather. So we should see a crit chance of 30 and a turn cooldown of 12. I can see you thinking about design rules for descriptions. Have you thought about how to go about a process for how those descriptions read? Now with games like this, it's important to have rules. Yeah, there are rules that I'm following for sure. But I'm going to have to do a language pass and make sure that everything is consistent for sure. Okay, this is not working. Oh, and also on a simpler topic, how often you wash your arm brace? Like weekly, something like that. It does need to be washed. It does need to be washed. Why is this not working? Oh, cooldown increase. Well, first I need to put the critical chance increase in here. Create abilities. I guess I don't need this here if these are hidden, so I actually don't need that. Why is this not working now? I was checking out this game, Backpack Battles on Steam. I watched its trailer. It's an inventory management auto battler too, but it's PvP. Find its inventory management looks cleaner than your locks. Has synergies and stuff too. Yeah, I mean, Backpack Battles is an inspiration for the game, for sure. Why is it only on the one hand? That's my mouse hand. That's the hand where the wrist has to do a bunch of movements. Your art style is much better, thank you. Yeah, I don't really like the art style of Backpack Battles, but I'm sure their inventory management is better because the main focus of that game is the inventory management, right? But the main focus of this game is alchemy, so I don't need to go as heavy on the inventory management side of things. Why is this not working? I don't know why this isn't working. This is a weapon too. All right, well, let's just put a breakpoint here, I guess. I thought this was going to be an easy one to do, but I guess nothing is ever easy. Edit breakpoint. base card dot is owned by player equals true. Is that really just not working? My turn cooldown increase, yeah. Critical chance increased. Oh, these need to be... Right. I think these need to be non-combat abilities. That's what I'm missing. Because those need to be evaluated outside of combat. The way that they were currently is they would only take effect when the combat was going. There we go. Nope, that's still not working. What in the heck? Oh wait, no, that one works. That one works as well. So it just didn't work until I updated. So I guess the artifact, acquiring an artifact needs to trigger those board state updates. Because this is not updating until I change the board state and then it's working. So we can see that this has a critical chance of 30% and 12. So I think that's kind of related to some other bugs that I have here. Well, I'll just write this down. Acquisition of artifacts that project non-combat abilities are not updated upon... Wait, let's just change this. Artifacts that project non-combat abilities not updated upon acquisition. So I'll basically just need to trigger the non-combat ability updates whenever I get an artifact. But that chipped whetstone is working, so that's good. So we can call that done. Cool. New artifact in the game. There you go. Jack of Daytona's thing has been added to the game. There's a lot more to do, but... Okay. I am going to now end the stream and go eat lunch, but I might stream again tomorrow, or not tomorrow. I will be streaming tomorrow, but I will stream probably later today as well, so keep an eye on the Discord for when I go live again. Once again, you can wishlist Alchemortis on Steam. We've got a lot of work to do still, but we'll get it done. We'll see how this new map overhaul works, and if it doesn't work out, or if it still has problems, we'll take a different approach. Like I said, this map overhaul is the last major thing that needs to be nailed down before basically I can just start working on bringing the game to completion. So I'm hoping that, you know, around the middle of the year this game will be finished, but we'll see. We'll see. May end up being closer to fall. But I'm not going to release it until it's in tip-top shape, so it'll take as much time as we need. But anyway, thanks again everyone for watching. Thank you for being here. Check out the links in the description below for all the ways you could support me. And yeah, I hope to see you in this afternoon stream if I do it. Otherwise, we'll be back at it tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern. So I hope to see you there. Have a good day, everybody, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.